Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever really thought about what it takes to squeeze every last bit of efficiency out of a solar panel? I mean, it seems like a mature technology, right? But
Yeah.
the innovation is still happening, really pushing boundaries in efficiency, design. Today, we're taking a deep dive into just one document, but a fascinating one. It's a recent patent application, and it kind of sheds light on one company's really ingenious approach to power our future.
That's precisely it. Yeah. We're not just talking about, what a solar cell does. We're peeling back the layers a bit to understand how it's made, meticulous manufacturing, and the brilliant design choices that can lead to pretty significant performance leaps. Our focus is U.S. patent application, publication number US 2022-5022803681, published July 10th, 2025, assigned to Trina Solar Co., Ltd. They're based in Jiangsu, China. What's really insightful, I think, is how much understanding just one technical document like this can offer about the future of clean energy.
Absolutely, yeah. And our mission today is to cut through the jargon. Let's extract the key insights from this patent, give you a clear picture of some, well, honestly, surprising advancements in solar cell innovation. It's not about memorizing numbers, it's about getting the ingenuity. So, what exactly does this particular innovation mean for photovoltaics?
Okay, before we get right into the specifics of this patent, maybe let's set the stage real quick. The document centers on something called a back contact solar cell. Now, for those of us maybe not deep in solar engineering, what's the big idea? Why move all the connections to the back?
That's a great starting point. Yeah. So you think about conventional solar cells, right? They have those thin metal lines, grids they call them, on the front surface. Now, these grids are essential. They collect the electricity generated. But there's a slight issue. They inevitably block a small amount of sunlight from reaching the active part, the semiconductor material underneath. It's like casting tiny shadows right where you need the light most.
Oh, okay, little shadows. Got it. Exactly. So back contact solar cells, and this idea isn't brand new. It actually came about in the 1970s. They bypass this really cleverly. They move both electrodes, the positive and the negative connections that grab the current, completely to the back side of the cell. This design means zero metal shading on the front. None. So you get much better optical absorption. More light hits the cell. And critically, that translates directly into improved cell efficiency. You're basically getting more power from the same sunlight.
Okay, so maximizing that sun-facing surface area, that sounds like a definite win-win. More power, no lost light. But, I always imagine there's a catch with these really elegant solutions. Is there? What are the challenges with this back contact design that innovators, like Trina Solar here, are trying to solve?
You've hit on a really crucial point.
Yeah.
While back contact cells offer that superior optical performance, making them,
Yeah.
well, that's inherently far more complex than traditional designs, much more. Because both electrodes are now crammed onto the back, you need incredibly high precision during manufacturing. Specifically for that backside, it becomes absolutely paramount. Imagine trying to perfectly line up microscopic electrical components. We're talking features maybe the size of a human hair, or even smaller across the whole back surface of a fragile wafer.
Wow. Yeah, I can picture that being tough.
It really is. Any tiny misalignment, even a slight deviation, can mess things up, reduce efficiency, cause defects. So this raises a big question. How do you guarantee that kind of extreme precision consistently, reliably, and importantly, at the scale you need for mass production? It's been a significant bottleneck, frankly.
That perfect alignment, it sounds like a monumental task. What usually goes wrong? I mean, where are the failure points in a process like that? And
Right.
how big a deal is it if this patent really cracks it?
Well, the challenges are pretty numerous. You have to think about things like thermal expansion,
Right.
right? Materials expanding, contracting just slightly with temperature changes during processing. That can throw things off. Then there's contamination. Even tiny dust specks can disrupt these delicate patterns. Material stress, too. When you deposit thin films, it can cause the wafer to warp slightly, misalignments again. So each of these can lead to problems. The breakthrough here, what makes this interesting, is about creating an internal sort of self-referencing system. And this patent from Trina Solar proposes a, well, remarkably clever solution to that precision challenge. The core of their idea seems to be something they call a marking structure.
A marking structure, because this is where it gets really intriguing. Can you walk us through what that actually is? And how does it address those, incredibly difficult manufacturing problems you just laid out?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So the patent describes this new back contact cell design, a specific method for making it, and also the solar module that uses these cells. The key innovation is this integrated marking structure. It acts as a built-in internal positioning reference. Think of it almost like a tiny, perfectly placed landmark, or maybe like a miniature GPS point, embedded right into the cell's architecture during manufacturing. In the patent's detailed description, this marking structure is placed within something called an insulating groove. That's basically a microscopic, non-conductive channel. And its position is critical because it separates the two different types of emitter structures on the back of the cell. Okay, so it's not just like a printed guide. It's physically part of the cell's internal structure.
Microscopic architecture. Wow. You mentioned emitter structures. Can you clarify those for us? And how do they interact with this marking structure to get that vital alignment?
Certainly. Yeah, good question. So on the back surface of the silicon wafer, that's the base, the substrate of the cell, you create a first emitter structure and a second emitter structure. These are basically two different regions of the silicon that have been doped. Doping means adding tiny amounts of other elements to change the silicon's electrical properties. Think of it like making one region act like a positive terminal and the other like a negative terminal, sort of like a tiny battery built into the silicon. Now, the doping type of the first emitter is the opposite of the second one. And these structures are arranged alternately, like stripes, spaced very precisely apart. The patent explains how this insulating groove is formed between these two emitter types and the marking structure. It's carefully placed inside this groove, specifically spaced apart from both emitter structures. This incredibly precise arrangement is vital. It means the marking structure serves as a super reliable, consistent reference point during all the next manufacturing steps. For instance, when they deposit the metal electrodes later on to actually collect the current.
Right, the bits that get the power out.
Exactly. This internal guide ensures those electrodes are placed perfectly relative to the emitter structures. And that's absolutely crucial for preventing, say, electrical shorts between the positive and negative sides and maximizing the current flow out of the cell. It really cuts down on fabrication errors, which, as we said, is a common hurdle in these complex, tiny designs.
That's genuinely brilliant. A tiny internal compass built right into the silicon itself just for manufacturing. Amazing. The patent also mentions this marking structure can look different ways. What are some variations?
Indeed. Yeah, the patent notes it can take various shapes. It could be circular or like a ring, annular, polygonal, even irregular shapes. It depends on the specific needs of the application or maybe the manufacturing process they choose. This flexibility is great. It shows the design is adaptable, can be tweaked for different production lines or cell types. And the patent gets into some incredibly fine dimensions, really gives you a sense of the engineering scale here. For example, the distance between the marking structure and either emitter structure can range from 20 to 500 micrometers.
Yeah.
Now, to put that in perspective, a typical human hair is maybe 70 micrometers thick.
Wow, so sometimes narrower than a hair.
Exactly. Incredibly precise placements. And then there's the thickness of another layer, the interdiffusion layer, that can be between just 20 to 100 nanometers. A nanometer is a billionth of a meter. We're talking atomic level stuff here. This level of detail really shows the sheer engineering sophistication needed to make these breakthroughs work reliably at scale. It's like, I don't know, trying to thread a super tiny needle while riding a roller coaster, maybe?
Yeah.
But this patent gives you a way to steady your hand.
It's just mind-boggling how microscopic these details are. But okay, stepping back from the sheer engineering feat, what does this precision actually deliver? For us, maybe the end users, or for the wider solar industry, what does this microengineering breakthrough mean for solar energy on a bigger scale?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? How does this translate into real-world benefits? Well, the innovations described here promise several key advantages for these back contact cells. By dramatically improving the precision of that backside fabrication and the wafer alignment, it directly leads to better optical absorption. More sunlight gets captured, and therefore overall higher cell efficiency. You capture more light, convert it better, you get more power out of the same side panel. Simple as that.
Higher efficiency, got it.
Plus, the careful design significantly helps cut down on current leakage. That means more of the power that's actually generated gets successfully captured and sent out, and less is just lost as heat or wasted energy. So essentially, you're getting more useful electricity from the same amount of sunlight. Makes each cell more productive.
Better energy capture, less waste. Okay. Does this precision also help on the manufacturing side, maybe make it easier or more cost-effective?
Yes, absolutely. That's another important point the patent highlights. This method can actually streamline some processing steps.
Yeah.
And, importantly, potentially reduce manufacturing costs. By using that marking structure as a consistent, reliable positioning guide, it helps automate and refine the really complex steps involved in making these advanced cells. It ensures those critical components like the bus bar, which is like the main power highway,
Right.
and the finger electrodes, the little side streets feeding into it, are placed accurately time after time. This precision prevents defects, which means less rework, less waste, and potentially faster production.
Hmm.
The patent application also notes that a finished photovoltaic module can then include one or more of these innovative cells.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking at a tangible step towards making solar energy systems more reliable, more efficient, and hopefully more affordable for everyone. It helps push the whole industry forward by tackling some of those really persistent manufacturing challenges.
It's truly fascinating how a tiny, practically invisible design choice measured in micrometers, nanometers, can have such a profound impact, a huge impact on a technology as vital as solar power. It really underscores the continuous, often quiet innovation happening behind the scenes, even in fields we might think are already, pretty well established.
Precisely. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that innovation in solar isn't always about some brand new miracle material or a massive disruptive breakthrough. Often it's about refining what we already have,
Yeah.
optimizing the structure, finding smarter, more precise ways to make them. It just shows that even in established technologies, there's always more to learn, right?
Hmm.
And getting into these intricate details can really enrich our perspective on how progress happens.
So, as you go about your day to day, maybe consider this. How might these seemingly tiny technical improvements in just one small part of the system, like a solar cell, how might they ripple outwards? How could they transform an entire industry and maybe fundamentally reshape our global energy future? What other hidden innovations are out there silently shaping the world around us, just waiting for a deep dive to reveal their significance?